I am Don Tess, better known as the Dawn of Beer.
And I'm M. Stoner, better known as Pints and Panels.
Welcome to episode 66 of the All About Beer podcast. Every 2 weeks, we talk with leading experts and take a deep dive into one topic in beer. This week on the show, we're going to talk about marshmallow in beer. Yummy. Please visit allaboutbeer.com and follow us on social media at allaboutbeer. And if you're feeling generous, please support this show at allaboutbeer.com/support. There you can find ways to support this show and others. M,
Yes.
do you like marshmallow, first of all? And
I
then
like
do you like marshmallow in beer?
marshmallows.
Okay.
I like marshmallows, but I I pastry stouts and the marshmallow, I like 3 ounces of it.
Okay.
And then I'm like, we're good.
Okay.
What about you, Don?
Um, the funny thing is I don't generally like things that are too sweet, but I'm such a beer nerd that I do like marshmallow beers because I like thinking about the artistry of it and how they
Hmm.
incorporate the flavors into the beer and everything. So I like that, because I'm a
Well, this
nerd.
episode is for you because we're going to learn about that in like
Yeah.
2 seconds.
And yeah, but first, if you would like to help support the All About Beer podcast, please reach out to podcast@allaboutbeer.com. Speaking of supporting this show, here is a word from our sponsors.
This program is brought to you by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, where trailblazing runs in the family. From crafting a movement with their iconic pale ale to taking the IPA haze craze nationwide with Hazy Little Thing, it's an adventurous spirit you can taste in every sip. Find your next favorite beer wherever fine beverages are sold. With new brews for every season, there's always something to discover. Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, still family owned, operated, and argued over.
As CEO and beer maker, Henok Fenty leads Swedish brewery Omnipollo with a bold vision to transform the perception of beer forever. Omnipollo explores the vast potential of beer, brewing a wide array of styles that challenge traditional boundaries. From marshmallows to unconventional techniques, the brewery isn't afraid to experiment, engaging in a constantly evolving dialogue with its drinkers. Hannock's journey into craft beer began in 2006, shortly after graduating from London School of Economics, where he discovered a love for the artistry and culture of brewing. This passion led to a home brewing hobby, which became the seed that grew into Omnipollo, a brewery that continues to push boundaries and redefine what beer can be. Welcome to the show, Henrik.
Thank you for having me.
So, how did you first get the idea to use marshmallow in beer or to
Um,
make a
I,
marshmallow beer?
yeah, I think it's part of a kind of bigger creative process for me, where culinary world and pastry specifically kind of was a big inspiration for making dark beers initially. And after having made a bunch of darker beers with adjuncts in them and seeing the positive reaction and feedback from our drinkers, we kind of ventured slowly but surely into lighter beers. And I think for me, it kind of became a way of accentuating aspects of, say, a hoppy beer or a fruited sour more than it was something that was usable in dark beer. Dark beers compete with a lot of flavors. You need very expressive flavors, and I think marshmallows are a very subtle flavor, and I think that it's a very nice fit when it comes to specifically maybe sour fruited beers mostly, and we've also ventured into hoppy beers. I kind of go back to this hoppy beer idea just because we are releasing a double IPA with marshmallows right now, which I'm really happy about. So it's kind of more where I'm at right now creatively. But from the onset, it was the idea of trying stuff out that could that could evoke feelings of a happy childhood, which is kind of where I started my journey with making pastry beer in the very first place. Talking about alcohol and a happy childhood might be a bit distasteful, but this is a show for grown-ups, as I was told before. So yeah, you can probably figure where I'm drawing that inspiration. But it was for me kind of a nice adjunct that actually can dissolve in beer, which I thought was cool. You can actually dissolve marshmallows into beer. A lot of adjuncts are added for flavor, but they don't actually dissolve into beer. So you're drinking the marshmallow in themselves. So yeah, that's kind of how we got started.
Um, Double IPA and marshmallow seems a little crazy to some people. Like, maybe just me. Um, how do marshmallow and hops work together?
I mean, it's funny you say that because it is crazy, and truth be told, there are a couple of different ways that we bring marshmallow into our creative process. It's either by adding actual marshmallows into the beer, which in some cases makes perfect sense. We have a beer that we brewed for Christmas. I don't like seasonal beers. I'm always off season, but in this case, we decided to actually try to release a couple of Christmas beers, and we released a beer that is inspired by hot cocoa that you can heat up and drink by the Christmas tree if you so like. And in that beer, adding marshmallows on top of the hot beer actually makes perfect sense. Like you're adding the actual thing into the beer.
Mhm.
I could definitely see us adding marshmallows into that beer as well. But in a lot of cases, like the hoppy beer, we actually combine different um, varieties of vanilla to create a sense of marshmallow. Just simply trying to play off the idea that marshmallow has a little bit of vanilla extract in it and kind of trying to bring that aspect into it by using vanilla. So it's I wouldn't. It's more fun not to say that we're using vanilla. I actually do disclose that we use vanilla, but there's this idea that okay, we're going to try to create something that feels like drinking a hoppy marshmallow beer, but by usage of vanilla. And the third way that we do add it is by adding extracts. And extracts, I think, would be the best use case for that would be in a very 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 fruited sour beer, simply because it can hold up and stand up to what an extract adds to a beer. It doesn't need to be that subtle, and so that's what we do in our fruited sour beers. There's those three ways basically: adding the real product, adding vanilla, or adding extract.
So, when you are using actual marshmallow, how much do you use in a beer? And then therefore, where do you get it from? Like, do you just go to the supermarket or is it, is it such a quantity that you actually have to get,
By the drum?
yeah,
You
by
get
the
marshmallow
drum?
drum?
Yeah. Okay, the most kind of graphic example I can use is we brewed a beer with Jonathan Wakefield a couple of years ago,
Oh, yes.
where we found an artisanal marshmallow maker. I didn't know that they existed,
Oh,
but they obviously
Oh.
only exist in the US. And so we FedExed square packages of these sheets of artisanally made marshmallows, and they were so kind of like fluffy and damp, and it was almost like cutting bread, like big
Hmm.
chunks of square shaped marshmallow going into the beer. I mean, that's probably again kind of the most graphic example. The other marshmallow beer we brewed shortly after was one with side project. We added them in boil. Those were kind of more the traditionally round shaped marshmallows that you would purchase off the shelf, but they were organic. That was important in the
oh,
case of side project, which I thought was kind of again a fun notion, like artisanal organic marshmallow. It's like kind of this
what?
marshmallow is like a product where you'd think of all the artificial ingredients you could possibly think of, but no, they're actually organic and artisanally made marshmallows out there. But we've yeah, I mean yeah, those are the two examples of beers that we've made in the US recently. Whereas again, we can go from that end of the spectrum to the extract end of the spectrum a little bit depending on what type of beers we make. We try try to kind of like choose it based on the beers that we're making. So yeah.
Does marshmallow add like, I'm assuming because of the sugar and like, I guess, or maybe not. I'm not a brewer. Does it add body? Does it create haze? Is there any kind of side effect that marshmallow would have on the finished product, or is it all like fermented out since it's a sugar?
That's a really good question. And I think, again, that's the use case for real. That's another use case for real marshmallows. They do actually add body. They don't find that they ferment out completely. They do add body, which can be a super cool tool to use, depending on what you wanna create. We've also dissolved candy into beer and other ingredients, and again, I think that when you can add an adjunct that actually stays in the beer, that's a pretty cool aspect of that adjunct, compared to adding nuts or other ingredients where you're after the aroma more maybe than the actual mouthfeel or flavor of it.
I don't know.
So
Maybe
they
you
do
could
add
put,
body.
maybe you could leave the nuts in the beer, and then when I'm drinking it, I get a little
That's an
crunchy too.
awful. I hate
I just,
that.
I just get.
That's terrible. That's a
Remember
terrible
that?
idea. Don't do
Remember
It
that.
that
hurts
Don't
my
do
Simpsons
that,
with the
Mike.
brewer's
Skittle
ears.
Brow? Hannah, when you're designing a beer, what makes you think, oh, this is going pretty well, but I need to add marshmallow to this? Or like how does this come
Every time.
about? Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have a favorite style of beer that you like adding marshmallow to?
I mean, again, it's like with stouts, it would be more for the mouthfeel than for the aroma. So that's like a really good example where you'd add them to kind of make the sensation of drinking something thick and full bodied even more so. With hoppy beers, the more subtle that idea is, and the more kind of like the less heavy-handed the execution is, the better. Uh, I've been surprised by how well it works with blueberry in sour beer. Like
Oh,
that's been like a happy accident. We added marshmallows to a beer that had blueberry and a bunch of other berries from Scandinavian blueberries are very, very intensely blue. They're just blue all the way through. So it pours super blue and kind of radiant, and then has something else than just the berries. Like it just takes you into another direction in a good way. I mean, again, like being light-handed on these things are always kind of the better way to go, but I think it works just incredibly well. So that's been blueberry marshmallows. In any other context, it might sound intuitive, but for me, it was kind of something counterintuitive that just matches perfectly.
hmm.
What would you wish consumers like knew about like what like sorry, bleh, let's start over again. What do you want consumers to look for in a marshmallow beer? Is it just the aroma, the body? Like what makes a great to you, what makes a great marshmallow beer? I guess that's the last question that we have for you.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think I think it's hard to build off of the idea of using marshmallows alone, but I think it works as a nice complement, kind of like vanilla. It accentuates and works great with other things. And so again, I mean, it's such a fun topic. I've never been asked the question before, weirdly enough. And now here we
Really?
are
Yeah, I'm
talking
surprised
about it
about that.
on a podcast. But then again, you got to remember, I'm in a European context. We're not. I think the US is just, it's a curious, like innovative beer scene, on a whole other level than what we've had in Europe. Europe, it does a better job at it now, but we come from hardcore traditions, and so the idea of using adjuncts is kind of still kind of new over here. But I think that using them wisely, as in using the marshmallows wisely, as a way of accentuating and complementing other flavors is can really work well. And you know, aims always to put a smile on people's face. Like that's what bad ingredients is great for.
Oh, right.
Besides being delicious. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Henrik, this was fascinating. Before we let you go, can you please share your social media handle so that everybody can see the great marshmallow beers that you're releasing?
Oh, awesome. We're on Instagram at Omnipollo. That's OMNIPOLLO, and on Facebook. And we try to post process photos and finished product as much as we can, several times a week, actually. So please follow
Yeah.
us.
Wonderful. Thank you, Henrik.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having me.
And we'll be right back with Cheyenne Forgach of the Artisan Marshmallow Company after these messages.
This program is brought to you by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, where trailblazing runs in the family. From crafting a movement with their iconic pale ale to taking the IPA haze craze nationwide with Hazy Little Thing, it's an adventurous spirit you can taste in every sip. Find your next favorite beer wherever fine beverages are sold. With new brews for every season, there's always something to discover. Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, still family owned, operated, and argued over.
Cheyenne Forgach is the owner and head marshmallow specialist at the Artisan Marshmallow Company in Pittman, New Jersey. The Artisan Marshmallow Company was founded in 2016 and opened their first brick and mortar shop in 2019. They have been featured on many local and nationwide news channels and magazines, as well as placing second in Dessert Wars PA. Their mission is to create the best tasting marshmallow using quality ingredients, handcrafted in small batches with seasonal rotating flavors. You haven't had a marshmallow until you've had an artisan marshmallow. Welcome to the show, Cheyenne.
Hi, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So I have the very hardest question for you. When people hear the word marshmallow, I think most people think of like a simple, dare I say, cheap, bite-sized confection sold in bulk in plastic bags. So like
Absolutely.
what is marshmallow exactly, and how do you make better/artisanal marshmallow?
Well, it's funny because so many people, up until they come into the shop, think that marshmallows just fall from the sky, like they're a little gift from God or something. They have no clue that you actually have to make them. The stuff in the stores is, of course, absolute chalky crap. Ours are completely different. We do everything in small batches that is made every single week. So we're in the kitchen on Mondays and we package on Tuesdays, chocolate on Wednesdays. We do the same thing every week. So ours are completely the freshest, absolute possible dessert that you can get. And we do consider them a dessert the way that we make them.
Okay. So why does freshness matter? I guess because again, if I go to the grocery store and buy a marshmallow, they're in a plastic bag and seems like they would last 50 years.
And I'm sure many of them have, absolutely, but that's what chemicals will do for you, definitely.
Okay.
We do not put any of the preservatives in. So basically marshmallows are sugar and gelatin is ultimately what the base of the marshmallow is. Your fresh marshmallow is going to be very light and airy and melt in your mouth. Marshmallows typically do not go bad. You can still have a vanilla marshmallow months and months and months from now. It's just not going to be as fresh. So it's not going to have as much of that light airiness. It's going to be a little bit more dense, but you're still going to get the overall flavor, and it's still fantastic for using with hot chocolate or Rice Krispie treats or something else like that.
Okay. So you mentioned sugar and gelatin, like anything else in terms of flavoring and such?
Absolutely. The base marshmallow for us is a vanilla marshmallow. So we use our signature vanilla extract, and then it kind of goes from there. We, on average, do 20 to 25 different flavors every week. So you can do anything with Oreo cookies, mint chocolate chip, toasted coconut. Of course, right now we're in March. So my number one absolute favorite all-time marshmallow is our Irish potato marshmallow. So you have coconut and cinnamon, which is my favorite. So it's what you're adding to the base marshmallow that is really going to elevate the flavors and what it is that you're getting out of it, and it's making it a dessert.
Okay, thank you.
So this is a brewing program. And I know you're not a brewer.
I'm a
What? A
drinker.
chef.
You're a
Oh,
drinker, and I am also a drinker. Um, but like, are there any key components of marshmallow that brewers should think about if they were brewing with it? Like, is the gelatin or like is there sugars or something? Is it oily? Like, I don't know what like happens. I guess I know what happens when a marshmallow breaks down in like a hot chocolate.
Exactly.
But if you were using a lot of it, like in a, I don't know. I don't know if you have any thoughts about this.
yeah.
If you're using a lot of marshmallow, I mean, kind of the example you just said, as with the hot chocolate, if you're going to put a whole bunch of them in the top of your hot chocolate, as they
Hmm.
melt, they are going to cover the whole top of your chocolate, which is going to make it a little bit difficult to drink. So you're going to have to start and to incorporate it. But once you do that, it incorporates very nicely. So same as on a whole scale, I guess, when you would be brewing, it has to be incorporated. Otherwise, it's just going to kind of sit more on top. But if you stir and incorporate, agitate in some way, marshmallows do incorporate themselves very nicely into what you're putting them into.
Okay. I think you might have, I have a follow-up, but I think you might have answered it. The marshmallow will tend to float, and so some
Yeah,
sort of agitation is required.
correct.
Oh, okay. Why is that? Just because gelatin is so not
It
dense, or the
yeah, I mean, with the gelatin, it kind of forms the top of the drink. So instead of it just breaking down and dissolving, it's just going to sit there until it's incorporated
Okay.
or eaten, one or the other.
That's the good part. What about
Um,
like a pH? Like, is there like are marshmallow? I mean, I don't know. Is like marshmallows like low pH or do they have a like? I don't know what sugar and gelatin would. I'm not a scientist, and I don't know if you know the.
Gelatin, I'm not exactly sure, but sugar tends to run a little bit more acidic on the pH scale. Hence the
Okay.
reason,
oh,
when you're eating a lot of sugar, it's not good if you have, say, we'll use cancer. It's they tell
Hmm.
you to stay away from sugar if you are going through cancer treatments or anything like that, because they tend to have a higher acidic on that.
Hmm.
I like that.
I didn't
Um,
know that.
you've talked about sugar as a broad ingredient, I guess. Do you know, like, does it matter? Is it glucose, fructose, malt? Like, I think yeast, when it ferments, cares if it's glucose, fructose, maltose. So what is in marshmallow, or does it matter in marshmallow?
Well, in marshmallow, we use a combination of your basic white sugar and corn syrup. We do use corn syrup. Some people will use a glucose syrup. You can also use honey. You can also use maple syrup. That aspect of it is to help prevent the crystallization. So if you just use straight sugar, it your marshmallow is going to crystallize a heck of a lot sooner than if you were to have that other agent, which is the main reason you use corn syrup in just about anything, whether it's marshmallows, caramels, or any other candy making that you're doing.
Okay.
And so you're a beer drinker
Yes.
in New Jersey. Would any of your marshmallows pair well with beers that you
Oh gosh,
drink?
absolutely.
Like
It's funny because I do a lot of beer marshmallows. We do a lot of alcohol
Oh,
based marshmallows in the shop. On any given week, we'll have between 3 and 6 different flavors that are alcohol based. One of our most popular is Fireball whiskey because of the obvious. We
because it's
do.
amazing. I mean, I'm sorry, I really like fire.
that's
I like Fireball.
that's not what I would have used to describe Fireball whiskey, but okay, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
It's the whole cinnamon aspect.
Yes.
Mm.
It's just it works. But through the years, we've done many different flavors and names of beers. Recently for the Super Bowl, we did the whole garage beer, not exactly, high end beer, but
No.
something to to bring the whole Eagles thing into it, but it's basically just a glorified Miller Lite. But I do a lot of stouts that, whether it's a s'more stout or marshmallow stout, something that's going to have that background and lend itself to the marshmallow. But we do those often.
Okay.
Have you ever thought about doing a like marshmallow and beer pairing at a local brewery? Because do you know how popular that would be? It
I
would
would
be
attend that.
really, I would
Yeah, I
drive
would
down
attend
from
that.
Connecticut
Yeah,
to
and you can have my Fireball whiskey marshmallow.
Yeah.
I will, sure, you got it.
Actually, the Fireball whiskey is awesome in hot chocolate or toasted.
Ooh,
Just throwing that out there. But I've done the wine and marshmallow pairings. I've
really?
talked to a few of the local breweries about doing the marshmallow pairings, and I think they're afraid of what the masses would think as far as would it actually be something that's popular.
I don't know. I think it'd
Hey,
be
yeah,
so
it's
Girl Scout
obvious.
cookie and beer pairings at local breweries are really
Right.
popular.
Exactly.
All the different flavors of marshmallow and beers
Yeah.
sounds like a heck of an evening to me.
And it's funny, we also recently just did a pizza flavor, a buffalo ranch
Ah, you're
flavor,
killing me. Buffalo, what?
buffalo ranch,
Oh my
and we
God.
did dill. I've done dill marshmallows a few times because I'm a huge pickle person. I've even had like a few of the pickle beers and stuff. So I love dill flavor, and they're fantastic. It's amazing what you can do with marshmallows. So pairing them with beer, it's absolutely possible.
I love it.
So one of the things I love about beer is the diversity of flavors. Like, we have sour beers, we have funky beers, and all sorts of things. And you just listed like pickle marshmallow and everything. Like, is there a marshmallow flavor that you've ever tried that you thought, nope, that I crossed the line there. I regret this.
I am not a lavender person,
Okay.
and I've done a couple with lavender just because there's a lot of crazy people around here that love their lavender. It's just nasty. And it's, I try every now and again that and vegan marshmallows. Vegan marshmallows are disgusting.
Okay.
That's a bummer. It's a real
It
bummer.
is,
Yeah.
but that's not my thing.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
my niche. That's not what I'm going for. I'm
Mhm.
sure there's companies out there that do a fantastic vegan marshmallow. I'm just not that person.
Is it sorry, I'm kind of a nerd, so I have a follow-up dirty question for you. It's
Mm.
because, so the gelatin is doing what that makes it so much better than that can't be reproduced in a vegan marshmallow?
It's the texture.
Oh,
The
I see.
gelatin is giving it that, I would say, for lack of a better way to say it, that solid texture where it holds together very well. The vegan marshmallows, when you're using like the aquafaba and guar and stuff in place of it, it's a very loose texture, and it's just a little bit more gummy, and it's just not my thing.
Yeah, okay. Um, can I pin you down and ask you to name a favorite marshmallow?
My absolute favorite is the Irish potato.
Oh, wow.
One of my other favorites is our artisan, which is our number one selling marshmallow, which is a vanilla marshmallow topped with our house made caramel, chocolate covered with sea salt.
Mm.
That is
Ooh.
our all time number one bestseller. It's actually an award winner. I've won
Wait, there's
competition.
marshmallow awards?
Absolutely.
Ah.
Actually, it's I won Dessert Wars. So it was in
Oh, I
a
see.
dessert competition. So it's with all of the desserts, not just marshmallows. It was
Yeah.
with macarons and cupcakes and cakes and pies and all that stuff. And yes, a marshmallow won. Imagine that.
Take that, creme brulee.
Wow.
Exactly.
One last question, I guess. I'm sure Don has a follow-up. What do you wish people understood and appreciated about what you do, like make marshmallows?
It's a process. we have so many people that come in and look for something specific. And when we don't have it or we ran out of it, they're like, well, will you have more when I come tomorrow? Or do you have more in the back? And it's making marshmallows is a 2 to 3 day process. It is not throwing a batch of cookies in the oven. You know, I can't put a batter together, throw them in the oven, and 20 minutes later hand you, you know, a box full of cookies. It's basically a 24-hour process with we have to make them and then they have to set. And to make a batch of marshmallows is approximately 20 to 35 minutes to make a batch of marshmallows. So then it sits overnight, and then the next day we can cut and package. And then if you're doing chocolate, it's another full day process. And that in itself, to chocolate covered marshmallow, is about a 3 to 4 hour process. So it's extremely time consuming. And a lot of people don't get that and don't understand why, if I run out of something on Friday, that I can't have it for them by Saturday or Sunday. And that would be why.
I mean, beer's the same way. You know,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
lagers take, you know, 6 weeks.
2-3 days at least.
Well, good beer. Well, I mean, you can make beer really quickly, but you know, like good German lagers are going to be like a 2-month process. And people are like, "Oh, just brew more," and they're like, "Well, yeah, then come back and see you in 2 months." So
Yeah.
I get, I
Perfection takes time.
had no idea marshmallow was so
No,
time
you don't.
consuming.
And Anne was right. I do have a follow-up question for you.
Of course you do.
Does, like, because, you know, mostly it's sugar and gelatin. With baking, it's all about proportion. You got to get the proportions right. Is that the same
It
with
is
marshmallow?
absolutely the same. Yes,
Okay.
it's absolutely. It's not as detrimental as baking, but early on in the process, you know, I thought I was cool and could just look at the pot and knew when it came to temp and knew how long it mixed for and everything, and thought, what do I need thermometers for? I can do this just by eye. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. And you've realized, why isn't this setting properly? Why did my marshmallow cream break? Why, you know, and then you start to figure out where you're like, oh, well, you really do need the thermometer. You really do need the time for it to sit and set. And it is definitely a little bit of a science, but then when you come to other flavors and adding things, you can kind of go a little bit mad scientist on that. That's not as important as the beginning stages of making the marshmallow. You know, if you want to add in 2 packs of cookies, you can. If you want to add in 15, you can. There's obviously going to be differences between the two, but it's not going to be as detrimental as the, you know, forgetting to bring your sugar up to 240 degrees.
Right. Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Cheyenne, this was awesome. Can you please
Yeah.
share your social media handle so everybody can, I'm sure everybody's going to want to see your latest creations. This was amazing.
And you do online ordering, correct?
We absolutely do.
There you go. Yes.
We do ship across the country and to APOs. That is the only out of country that we do ship to, because we are huge supporters of the military. So we will do that. We are on Facebook and Instagram, both at the Artisan Marshmallow Co. So you can find us in both places, and website is theartisanmarshmallowco.com. And, you know, we do different flavors every week. Everything is listed on Wednesday. You can give us a call if you have any questions. We do special orders. I really think I need to get on these local breweries about doing the marshmallow pairings, because I think
if you,
we will help you.
yeah, we can help
We will
you
help
with
you do
that.
that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great time. I definitely have my favorites. I'm a huge stout person, so I would love to do something like that. And I think stouts would be incredible to do with the marshmallows, just because they're so similar to, like, say, a hot chocolate or a frozen hot chocolate or something along that line. And I think that's a great pairing.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Cheyenne. This was
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Pleasure.
Cheers. Em, are you serious that you want to have that fireball marshmallow?
Hell yeah, do you want to have that fireball marshmallow? It sounds dope. In hot
Okay.
chocolate too?
Okay.
I wonder if she would make me, because if she listens to this, I want a mint schnapps marshmallow.
Oh,
for hot chocolate. That sounds
Oh, so
that's
not to
fun.
eat on its own. You want it in hot chocolate.
I wanted because we in college we used to drink a lot of hot chocolate and mint schnapps on snow days. It was a real college thing. I don't
I
know
see.
why. It's really nice. Highly recommended.
So what do
Um,
you think about marshmallow and beer though? I guess since we are,
I like how like it's I just think it's so cool that Hanok uses like imagine brewing with all of Cheyenne's small bat like that has to be crazy.
yeah, I think, similar with our chocolate episode, vanilla episode, coffee episode, it's easy just to like grab the nearest whatever and just throw it in there and big
Mhm.
deal, right? But if you really think, if you make great beer, if you want to make great beer, you got to think about the quality of these adjunct ingredients too, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's the lesson here. I think I really enjoyed this episode. I think it was great.
Same.
Oh, people, if you also enjoyed this episode, please, I probably shouldn't have referred to you as people, but please still visit allaboutbeer.com and follow us on social media at allaboutbeer. And if you want to support the show, please visit allaboutbeer.com/support to support this show and others. If you have questions for the experts, please email podcast@allaboutbeer.com. That's also the email for feedback, suggestions, or to inquire about supporting this show through advertising. We want to know if you want to have a fireball marshmallow. How can people reach out to you?
I am at Pints and Panels across Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram, and my website is pintsandpanels.com. What about you, Don?
Oh, I am at the Dawn of Beer on all social media platforms, and people can drop me an email, dawn@thedawnofbeer.com. If you enjoy the show, please share it with your friends, post about us on social media, and like and subscribe to the show. Please help us spread the word of good beer. Here is a final word from our sponsor.
This program is brought to you by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, where trailblazing runs in the family. From crafting a movement with their iconic pale ale to taking the IPA haze craze nationwide with Hazy Little Thing, it's an adventurous spirit you can taste in every sip. Find your next favorite beer wherever fine beverages are sold. With new brews for every season, there's always something to discover. Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. Still family owned, operated, and argued over.
This show is produced by All About Beer. Visit allaboutbeer.com for articles, notes on this show and others, and to connect via the newsletter and social media. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.